Following with our new Halloween theme for this month and talking about more spooky creatures, I think it's time I talked about a kaiju who was meant to instill horror of the cosmic variety. King Ghidorah from the anime trilogy, otherwise more known as Void Ghidorah. How powerful is this god among mortals? Let's begin with the basics. We're introduced to the Ghidorah with a direct statement that the only way a civilization was able to even interact with him was by using a higher dimensional mathematics. He is a straight up, unapologetic, undeniable, higher dimensional being. Period. Even worse, not only is he higher dimensional, but his very existence transcends the world around us. Our very universe can't even contain him. He lives in a higher void than existence, and needs to lower himself to enter our world. But how did he reach this place? Well, according to the director, Ghidorah evolved in a similar path to Godzilla, but transcended the physical existence. In order to become a god, he shed his physical form, becoming a being of pure energy, which allowed Ghidorah to pass through space and time itself. So unbothered by the laws of the universe itself, that he straight up invalidates them by simply existing. They don't apply to him whatsoever, and he can directly attack you from another dimension. This would already be a pretty big problem to deal with. But unfortunately, Ghidorah also has some serious power to him. He's destroyed entire planets and even stars, but not just in the way your normal anime or comic book character will blow up a planet. No, he crushes these planets and stars with super gravity, a higher dimensional version of gravity, in order to swallow and digest them. Yep, that's right. He treats entire stars and planets like grapes, and he does this with ease. It's mentioned even that everything in the universe is simply food for him, which would be consistent even for his avatar, because it literally uses black holes as portals to move through. Real black holes with singularities, ergo fields, and everything. These black holes were calculated to at least solar system level, which is consistent with eating every star and planet in the universe in a single bite. Even upon waking up, Ghidorah was able to fill a dark universe, his void, with light. Now, we're never told if this void is infinite or not. However, lighting up an entire universe is still high-end solar system levels of energy at least. So powerful is even just his avatar that its gravitational presence is stated to be more massive than the black holes itself. He bared all that power and weight onto Godzilla Earth. Impressive for the old man too, and even better for Godzilla Earth's level of strength is the fact that Void Ghidorah considered him to be a fine meal. This is, again, the same Godzilla Earth who would go on to blow up those 3 black holes. So a solar system level being is just something that Ghidorah wants to eat. It's not a challenge or a fight at all. He sees people of Cell tier caliber as snacks. But of course, it gets much more than this. He directly is universal even in this avatar form. Not only because of the higher dimensional existence and being above the universe itself, but his very presence in this dimension was decaying space and time itself. On top of this, using supergravity as a direct attack, higher dimensional forces would be universal. So yep, just by sitting there, his mere avatar can destroy an entire universe just by sitting there for a while. And we know that he's at least 4th dimensional, probably higher, off the fact that he's just stated to cause loops in time, and even cause it to flow backwards and out of order itself. He's also referred to as a super dimensional being, which is usually referring to people outside of mere 4D stuff. If you're not convinced by being higher dimensional and infinite in power and above the universe being universal, then even just one head entering this dimension moved multiple stars with such force so quickly that it would yield at least multi-galaxy levels of energy. And he did this simply by entering our world. So once more, pretty impressive. More terrifying is the fact that in his true power, it's stated that the difference between his avatar and his true strength is such that while the avatar was only causing some storms on the planet, if Void Ghidorah himself entered the universe, he would have immediately, instantly destroyed the planet. So if somebody who's universal already is so low that he can only cause mere storms compared to his true strength just wiping out something from existence, then we can tell that his true power is vastly higher. He's also directly implied to be literally on the level of a god himself, funny enough, or at least infinitely close to him. Now of course people try to use anti-feats, of course, to try to lower the strength of this powerful being. They do this by saying that Ghidorah was so weak when he was not allowed to cheat by being in his true strength. We'll put it like this: Ghidorah was lowered to the third dimension and blind since he can't see here. It's lower than his perception. It's like us trying to see in a flat world. We wouldn't know what the hell we were doing either. So Ghidorah literally had his existence lowered and was blind, then put up somewhat of a fight still against Godzilla Earth, who got stronger than ever before, and people say that this is him being weak. If you were sucked into a video game Jumanji style, and you couldn't see at all, and you died and respawned back in the real world, does that make you weak? Just because you don't know what the hell you were doing? I wouldn't say that. I think that's pretty dishonest. Fourth dimensional is the bare minimum for Void Ghidorah. It's never actually stated he's only 4D. Especially if you think space and time are fourth dimensional, he is above that. Quantitatively. He's 4D in his avatar form, which means more than likely his true strength is at least fifth dimensional. You could argue him even more powerful, since we have seen bits of Void Ghidorah in other Godzilla dimensions according to merchandise, and there is a hint in the Singular Point novelization that Ghidorah might be chasing after Godzilla Ultima. If it's true that this is actually Void Ghidorah, then he would be more powerful than even Godzilla Ultima, possibly in his true state. What about speed? Well, normal speed kind of doesn't apply to him. He invalidates distance to some extent by just eroding space, and literally reverses and makes time flow out of order just by being there. But in terms of travel feats, he only has stuff in the supersonic variety. But in the attack speed, he spread his light across his whole universe, something at least billions of times the speed of light, by simply waking up. His void also doesn't have time or space, so you could say he has inaccessible speed, possibly immeasurable speed if he's making time flow backwards in the mortal realm. In terms of abilities, he is pretty much carried by the fact that he is a higher dimensional entity. If you're a 3D being and don't have higher dimensional interaction, you basically can't fight him. You will lose and you will die. Your planet will be his next Big Mac. You can't even hit him because he's dual intangible. Not only is he made out of energy, which Godzilla Earth could touch when he was lowered to the third dimension, but his true form is untouchable to Godzilla Earth, and you can't touch him, he's intangible. Time and space don't work the same around him, and he decays them, makes them flow out of order, etc. He has super gravity, higher dimensional gravity, as mentioned. You can't even detect him normally with like sensors or anything. You can only feel his gravitational presence, which again was stated to be stronger than that of a black hole. He directly attacks your mind and spirit simply by existing near you. He has cosmic awareness and intelligence that far exceeds that really anything outside of higher dimensional calculations. And even when he was defeated by Godzilla Earth, it's just mentioned that he just respawned in his own world and he could come back. Another interesting ability is before Ghidorah even manifested in the third dimension, he was able to kill people by his shadow eating their shadows. So while in another dimension, he was able to kill people by attacking them two-dimensionally, while not even being in the third dimension. This is a pretty rare power in fiction, all things considered, and I've only really seen it in the likes of Mr. Mixie from DC and Bill Cipher. Despite only appearing in one movie, Void Ghidorah is one of the most powerful characters in the Godzilla series, only really outclassed by arguably high ends for Godzilla Ultima, Showa and Heisei, and very powerful comic book versions of Godzilla and company. Pretty impressive and utterly terrifying if he decides your world is next.